On a quiet night in the middle of a dark forest, Tom was camping alone. He loved the outdoors, the fresh air, and the sounds of nature. As he sat by his small campfire, he roasted marshmallows and stared up at the stars. Little did he know that a group of playful aliens was watching him from above. These aliens came from a faraway planet called Zorax. They loved to have fun and were always looking for new games to play. One of their favorite games was to abduct different creatures from other planets and see how they reacted. They believed it was harmless fun. Tonight they saw Tom and thought he would make a perfect target. The aliens floated in their shiny spaceship, which sparkled like a jewel against the night sky. The leader of the aliens, named Zulu, had a big smile on his face. "Look at that human!" He looked so small and weak. "Let's take him!" he exclaimed, clapping his green hands together. The other aliens cheered with excitement. They were ready for some fun. Zulu pressed a big red button on the control panel, and a bright beam of light shot down from the ship, hitting Tom right in the middle of the campsite. Suddenly, Tom felt a strange pull. Before he knew it, he was lifted off the ground and pulled into the spaceship. When Tom arrived on the spaceship, he was stunned. The inside was bright and colorful, filled with strange machines and blinking lights. Tom looked around, feeling confused and scared. "Where am I?" he wondered. Just then, he saw the aliens, who looked very different from any creature he had ever seen. The aliens had big eyes, green skin, and silly antennae on their heads. They giggled and whispered to each other, pointing at Tom. Zulu stepped forward, trying to look friendly. "Welcome to our ship, human. We brought you here for fun," he said with a wide grin. Tom felt a mix of fear and anger. "Fun? You think it's fun to kidnap me?" he shouted. The aliens looked at each other surprised. They didn't understand why Tom was upset. To them, this was just a game. Zulu, wanting to impress Tom, suggested, "Let's play a game. We will test your strength and speed. It will be fun." Tom shook his head. "I'm not your toy," he yelled. But the aliens were not listening. They were too excited about their new game. They led Tom to a big room filled with strange equipment. The walls were lined with glowing panels, and there were strange machines that made funny noises. Zulu explained, "This is our testing room. We want to see how strong and smart you are compared to other creatures." Tom realized he had to think fast. He was not going to let them treat him like a toy. As the aliens began their tests, he quickly noticed how their machines worked. He saw buttons and levers that looked like they could be used against them. As they tested his strength, Tom decided to play along. He lifted weights and ran on a treadmill, all the while keeping his eyes on the machines. He was gathering information, waiting for the right moment to act. The aliens were amazed at Tom's abilities. They had never seen a creature like him before. "He is stronger than he looks," one alien shouted. They were starting to realize that this was not going to be an easy game. The fun was fading and the challenges were growing. Tom felt a spark of hope. He thought, "If they think I'm strong, maybe I can find a way to escape." As the aliens continued their silly tests, he started to come up with a plan. He knew he had to stay clever and brave. With every laugh and cheer from the aliens, Tom prepared himself for the next step. He was not just a human, he was a survivor. Little did the aliens know, their fun was about to turn into a big mistake. Tom stood in the bright testing room, feeling both nervous and excited. The silly aliens surrounded him, their big eyes shining with curiosity. They were ready to begin their games, and Tom was determined to show them that he was not weak. Zulu, the leader, clapped his green hands together. "Welcome to our games. Let's see how strong and fast you really are." The other aliens cheered and bounced around, eager to see what would happen next. The first game was called Strength Challenge. The aliens brought out a large, heavy metal bar. It looked like it weighed a ton. "Lift this bar!" Zulu commanded, grinning widely. Tom took a deep breath and walked up to the bar. He could feel the weight pressing down on him, but he knew he had to try. With all his might, Tom bent down and grasped the bar. He focused on his strength, remembering all the times he had lifted heavy things while camping. Slowly, he lifted the bar off the ground. The aliens gasped in surprise, their eyes wide. "He is strong," one alien shouted. Tom smiled to himself. He was starting to win their respect. Next, the aliens wanted to see how fast Tom could run. They set up a course filled with strange obstacles, including spinning wheels and glowing hurdles. "Run through this course as fast as you can," Zulu exclaimed. Tom nodded and took his place at the starting line. As the game began, Tom dashed forward, dodging the obstacles with agility. He leaped over the glowing hurdles and ducked under the spinning wheels. The aliens cheered loudly, amazed by his speed. "Look at him go!" one alien shouted. Tom felt a rush of energy. He was not just playing. He was showing them that he was not to be underestimated. After finishing the course, Tom was out of breath but happy. The aliens clapped and danced around him, clearly impressed. "You are the fastest creature we have ever seen," Zulu declared, his smile stretching from ear to ear. Tom was enjoying their excitement, but he remained focused on his plan. He needed to learn more about their ship. As the games continued, the aliens introduced a new challenge called Smartness Test. They had a series of puzzles and riddles for Tom to solve. "If you can answer these questions, we will give you a special prize," Zulu said, rubbing his hands together. Tom looked at the first puzzle. It was a tricky math problem involving strange symbols. The aliens were excited to see if he could figure it out. Tom took his time, using all his brain power. He remembered his math lessons from school and quickly solved the problem. The aliens gasped again. "He is smart too," one alien exclaimed, amazed. They gave Tom a small glowing token as a prize. "This is a special Zoraxian token. You can use it to get help if you need it," Zulu explained. As the day went on, Tom continued to impress the aliens with his strength, speed, and intelligence. But he noticed something interesting. Some of the aliens began to whisper among themselves, looking worried. They were not having as much fun as they thought they would. Tom could sense their unease, and he used it to his advantage. In the middle of the games, while the aliens were distracted, Tom took a moment to study the control panel on the wall. It was filled with buttons, switches, and blinking lights. He realized that if he could figure out how the panel worked, he might be able to escape. As he played along with the aliens, he listened carefully to their conversations and observed their movements. He noticed that they sometimes left the room to grab snacks or take breaks. This was his chance. Tom smiled to himself, thinking, "I can turn their fun into my escape." He decided to continue winning their games, but he would also be ready for the right moment to act. The aliens thought they had the upper hand, but little did they know, Tom was smarter than they realized. The day was turning into a wild adventure, but Tom was determined to take control of his fate. With every game he played, he was one step closer to his freedom, and the aliens were about to learn a valuable lesson about humans. As the day went on, Tom kept winning the alien games. He amazed Zulu and the other aliens with his strength, speed, and intelligence. They cheered and laughed, but deep down, Tom was not just enjoying himself. He was thinking about how to escape. While the aliens celebrated his victories, Tom watched them closely. He noticed that they were often distracted. Some of them would leave the room to get snacks or to cheer on their friends during other games. This gave him a chance to plan his escape. Tom remembered the control panel he had seen earlier. It was filled with buttons, switches, and blinking lights. If he could figure out how it worked, he might be able to take control of the ship. He needed to act fast before the aliens realized what he was up to. After finishing a round of games, Zulu clapped his hands and said, "Let's take a break." "Snacks for everyone!" The aliens cheered and rushed out of the room, leaving Tom alone. This was his moment. Tom quickly moved to the control panel. His heart raced with excitement and fear. He took a deep breath and began to examine the buttons. Some were glowing bright green, while others flickered red and yellow. He had no idea what they did, but he remembered one thing. He needed to find the button that could open the ship's door. Tom focused on the buttons and tried to recall what he had seen when the aliens first brought him aboard. He pushed a few buttons at random, hoping for luck. Suddenly, a loud beep echoed through the room. Tom's heart skipped a beat. Was that good or bad, he thought. Then he noticed a small screen on the panel lighting up. It showed a map of the spaceship with a big red dot labeled Exit. Tom felt a rush of hope. He was getting closer to finding a way out. Tom quickly studied the map. He saw that the exit was located on the other side of the ship. But there was a problem. The map showed a thick wall separating him from the exit. He would need to find another way. Just then he remembered something. During the games, he had noticed a small door behind the testing area. It seemed to lead to a hallway. Tom decided that was his best chance. He had to be quick before the aliens returned. He glanced at the door, making sure no one was watching. With determination, Tom hurried towards the door he had seen earlier. He opened it slowly, trying not to make any noise. The hallway was dark and quiet, and he felt a wave of excitement wash over him. Tom stepped into the hallway looking for any signs that could lead him to the exit. He followed the twists and turns, hoping to avoid running into any aliens. The walls of the ship were shiny and cold, but he pressed on. His heart raced with each step. As he moved deeper into the ship, he heard voices. Tom froze, pressing himself against the wall. A group of aliens was coming towards him, laughing and talking about the games. Tom felt a rush of panic. He needed to hide! Quickly, he ducked into a small room nearby and closed the door. Inside, he found strange machines and tools. It looked like a storage area. He crouched down behind a pile of boxes, trying to calm his racing heart. From his hiding place, he could hear the aliens talking outside. "Did you see how strong that human is?" one alien said. "I can't believe he lifted that bar." Another alien replied, "Yes, but I think he's getting too smart. We need to watch him closely." Tom listened closely. The aliens were starting to realize that he was not an ordinary human. This made him feel more determined. He had to escape before they figured out his plan. After a few minutes, the aliens walked away, still laughing and talking about the games. Tom waited for a moment, then slowly opened the door. He peeked out to make sure the coast was clear. The hallway was empty. Now Tom had to be brave. He knew he was close to the exit. He quickly made his way back to the control panel, using the map in his mind. He could feel the excitement building as he approached the area where the exit was marked. With every step, he thought about his home, the trees, and the night sky. He couldn't wait to get back to his camping spot. As he reached the control panel again, he took a deep breath. He was ready to push the button that could lead him to freedom. Little did the aliens know, their fun was about to come to an end, and Tom was about to show them just how clever a human could be. Tom stood in front of the control panel, his heart pounding with excitement. He could finally see the button that could open the exit. The aliens had no idea what was about to happen. Taking a deep breath, he reached out and pressed the glowing green button. A loud beep filled the room, and the wall next to him began to move. It slid open, revealing a bright light beyond. Tom felt a surge of hope as he stepped through the opening. He was free! He quickly ran into the hallway, moving as quietly as he could. He had to find the ship's exit before the aliens realized he was gone. As he dashed through the ship, Tom could hear voices in the distance. The aliens were still in the game room, laughing and talking about his performance. "He is so strong!" Zulu exclaimed. "I have never seen a creature like him." Tom felt a strange mix of emotions. He was glad they were impressed, but he also knew that they had underestimated him. He was not just a human, he was smart and strong. The aliens had taken him for fun, but now he was taking control of his own fate. He reached another door at the end of the hallway. It looked different from the others, with strange symbols and a big red button above it. This had to be the exit. Tom felt a wave of excitement and fear. What if the aliens caught him before he could escape? He pressed his ear against the door, listening for any sounds. The voices were still far away. He had a chance. Tom pushed the door open, and it creaked loudly. He winced, hoping the aliens wouldn't hear. He stepped outside and was hit by a rush of fresh air. The sight before him took his breath away. He was on a small platform outside the spaceship, floating in the vastness of space. Stars sparkled all around him, and the colorful planets filled the sky. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, but Tom couldn't stop to admire the view. He needed to find a way down. In front of him, he saw a small spacecraft parked nearby. It looked simple, but it could be his ticket back to Earth. He hurried over, glancing around to make sure no aliens were watching. He reached the spacecraft and quickly opened the door. Inside, there were buttons and levers, just like in the control room. Tom took a deep breath and sat in the pilot's seat. He was not a pilot, but he remembered some things from movies he had watched. He looked at the control panel and began pressing buttons, hoping something would work. Suddenly, the engines roared to life and the ship shook. "It's working!" Tom shouted, feeling a rush of excitement. He quickly pulled a lever and the spacecraft began to rise. He was leaving the alien ship behind, but just as he felt the thrill of freedom, Tom heard a loud alarm blaring from the spaceship. The aliens had discovered his escape. He looked back and saw Zulu and the others running towards him, their faces filled with shock. "Stop him!" Zulu yelled, panic in his voice. Tom's heart raced. He had to go faster. He pressed more buttons, and the spacecraft shot forward. He felt the pull of the engines as they blasted away from the alien ship. The stars blurred around him as he zoomed into the darkness of space. But even as he escaped, he couldn't shake off a feeling of regret. The aliens had treated him like a game, and now he was leaving them behind. They had been curious and playful, but he understood that they had underestimated humans. Tom felt a little bad for the fun they had lost. Suddenly, a beam of light shot towards him. The aliens were using a weapon. The light struck the spacecraft, and Tom felt it shake. "No, not now!" he yelled, gripping the controls tightly. He focused on steering the ship, dodging left and right. The aliens were relentless, trying to catch him. Tom could hear their voices over the comm system, shouting commands and orders. "We cannot let him escape!" Zulu shouted. "We must teach him a lesson." Tom realized they would not stop until they captured him, but he was not going to let that happen. With a surge of determination, he pressed down on the throttle and sent the ship into a sharp turn. Just a little more, he thought, pushing the ship to its limits. With one final burst of speed, he zoomed into the vastness of space, leaving the alien ship behind. As the alarms faded into the distance, Tom took a deep breath, feeling both victorious and sad. He had escaped, but at what cost? The aliens had wanted to play, but now they would learn that humans were not toys to be played with. Tom promised himself that he would return to Earth and tell everyone about his adventure, how he had outsmarted the aliens and what he had learned. As Tom flew through space, he felt a mix of excitement and relief. He had escaped the aliens, but the sadness of leaving them behind lingered in his heart. He had won their games and proven his strength, but he also saw their curiosity and wonder. They were not just enemies. They had wanted to learn about him. Tom navigated the small spacecraft, aiming for the nearest planet, hoping to find safety and a way back home. As he flew, he could not stop thinking about Zulu and the others. They had been strange but fun. They had laughed, cheered, and played games with him. He wondered if they would be okay. Suddenly, his ship's control panel lit up with a warning. "Low fuel!" It beeped. Panic surged through him. He needed to find a place to land before he ran out of power. Looking at the map on the screen, Tom saw a blue planet nearby. It looked peaceful and welcoming. He decided to land there. As he descended, he felt nervous. What would he find? Would the aliens follow him? He landed on a soft, grassy area surrounded by trees and flowers. The planet was beautiful, and Tom felt a sense of calm wash over him. He stepped out of the ship and took a deep breath of fresh air. "Okay, Tom," he said to himself. "Now what?" He looked around, taking in the beauty of his surroundings. Suddenly, he heard a rustling sound behind him. He turned quickly, ready to defend himself if necessary. To his surprise, Zulu emerged from the trees, followed by a few other aliens. They looked worried and confused. "Tom!" Zulu called out, waving his hands. "We followed you?" Tom's heart raced. "Why did you follow me?" he asked, feeling both excited and scared. Zulu looked at him with wide eyes. "We wanted to make sure you were safe. We did not mean to scare you. You are not just a human."
"You are our friend!"
Tom was taken aback. Friend? He never thought of the aliens as friends. They had captured him for fun, but now they were here, showing concern. "Friend?" he echoed, unsure. "Yes," another alien said, stepping forward. "We had fun playing with you. We did not want it to end. We are sorry if we hurt you. We were just curious."